What's up, Radiant Soul? So as you know, this is a safe space for like-minded individuals who prioritize what? Who prioritize wellness. So that could be mental wellness, spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, and financial wellness. So today we're going to be discussing this book called Seat of the Soul. I'm still in the beginning of the book. I've read it before years ago, but I needed to refresh my mind with the knowledge. And today we're going to be talking about how every action has an equal or opposite reaction. In other words, the great law of karma that governs the balancing of energy within our evolutionary system is reflected within the domain of physical objects and phenomena by the last of the three principles that for every action, there is a reaction, an equal or opposite reaction, okay? So when we do wrong, right? Or when we put energy into the world, right? So whether we speak life into someone, when we're kind to someone, when we're rude to someone, we're putting energy into the universe, right? And unconsciously, there's a cause and an effect for the energy that we put into the universe. So like if we're not intentional with the way that we're operating in life, and being intentional means you're a multi-sensory individual. So what is a multi-sensory individual? A multi-sensory individual is someone who doesn't just operate with their five senses. Like they don't just operate from a place of what they can see, what they can smell, what they can touch. Like they believe in the things that they can't see, such as intuition, such as discernment, such as the effects that their words can have on someone's self-esteem. So for example, someone who is not multidimensional or multi-sensory, and they operate from a place of five sensory, they think that you can joke about somebody, like about something personal to somebody, and they're like, oh, it's just a joke. But when you operate from a multi-sensory perspective, it's like, okay, you joked about the way this person looked. You joked about the clothes this person wore, and they probably already had a wound. You don't know the wounds that people carry. So it's like now you cause effect. Like you just hit somebody in a spot where they're weak, and you weren't being intentional because you're a five sensory individual. So you don't operate from a place of being intuitive. You don't operate from a place of being intentional with your actions. So all of your learning comes from like you actually physically acting out like erratical behavior or doing egregious things, outrageous things, and you're not even aware that you're doing them until the effect comes. So you cause this effect to come back to you based off your actions, but you're not aware of it. So then you get in a victim mindset and you're like, oh, this is always happening to me, but you're not aware of the energy that you perpetuate and put into the universe. But when you operate from a multi-sensory perspective, you're going to be careful how you joke with somebody. You're not going to joke about things that people can't change, like physical appearance. You're not going to joke about somebody's clothes because you know in your gut, like you have the intuition to know, like this person might have spent their last money on this outfit. So I'm not going to pick at where they already may be weak at. Like you're careful with what you say to people, and you're careful with, the actions that you take because you're aware of cause and effect. So we want to vibrate on a more conscious level, aka a multi-sensory level, versus an unconscious level, five sensory level, where you're not seeing things beyond the physical realm. You're not seeing things in the spiritual realm, because again, for every action there will be an equal or a greater reaction. No, it says equal and opposite reaction. So again, you think you can go around playing with people's heart. You think you can go around manipulating people, mistreating people, being unkind to people, because you're not really in tune with your soul, with the spiritual part of life. And then when that energy comes back to you, you're so shocked and surprised. But eventually you will reflect and you'll realize this is why this is happening. Or, you know what? I remember when I did this to somebody else. If God blesses you to tap into that part of yourself, because intuition comes from God. So like you connect with God and God connects you with that deeper part of yourself. So you start to trust that gut feeling. You start to just move again, like this world isn't just physical, it is spiritual. So you're more conscious of what you do. So that's why I don't really hold people accountable to what they don't know, because ignorance just means lack of knowledge. So if somebody lacks the knowledge to know that the way they're moving is causing havoc in the world, I will try. Again, I'm not big on putting mirrors in people's faces anymore, because then they try to attack you. Like when you shine a light where somebody's like in darkness at, like you can only know people as deeply as they know themselves. And if you try to show them a part of themselves that they're not ready to see, they're going to attack you. They're going to go off on you. They're going to attack you. They're going to make you the problem. And it's like, I'm not really a fan of that. So I've learned, like, I'm not putting a hard mirror in somebody's face and then they're going to lash out at me in return. But, you can subtly say, like, I don't think that's morally correct, or I don't think we should be operating, in that way, or just think deeply about sometimes your words affect people, deeply. You should be careful of the impact or the energy that you put into the world, because you're outside of receiving it back. It's just, you don't want to be a person, technically, that you can be an evil person when you don't move with like conscious and awareness of how your actions impact other people. So again, it's like the two people driving in traffic and somebody's going slow, so you speed around them and you almost make somebody else crash and then you blame the person and you're like, oh, they were going slow, so I had to get over. No, like, you were being selfish. You were being impatient. Like, sometimes perspective is everything. So when you're moving from a place of consciousness, you consider other individuals. Now, it does get frustrating in the world we live in today to consider people, because it's like, most people ain't considering you. There's a lot of takers in this world, and there's not that many givers in this world. So when you're a person who's operating from a multi-sensory perspective, from a conscious, from an aware perspective, from an intuitive perspective, from you using your discernment from that perspective, it's like, sometimes you see things that other people don't see, or sometimes you're aware and conscious. You're doing the work that 90% of people won't do. So you only resonate with very, very few people. So don't get caught up. Again, we're in the world. We're not of the world. And once you start to operate like that, just because everybody else do it don't mean you could do it. Just because everybody else is inconsiderate don't mean you should be inconsiderate. Just because everybody else doesn't have reverence for life, meaning a greater appreciation for God's creation, that's what reverence is. So like, just because everybody else litter don't mean you should litter. Just because everybody else jokes in mean, passive aggressive ways doesn't mean that you should. And I think sometimes people get their personality confused with their soul. So like, your personality is what you develop to survive the environment that you're in. So we all have a personality, right? But your personality has to get intertwined with your soul so you can move more consciously. Because again, I'm the type of person, I play a lot. I like to troll. I like to joke. And I've had to come to terms with the fact that, like, the way that I joke was offensive to people. The way that I joke could cause people to feel pain. It's not funny. If everybody's not laughing, then it's really not funny. So I've had to like check myself and become more in tune with my soul as I get older and as I evolve as an individual. So it's nothing wrong. We all are on our journey to evolution. And again, I always quote Nipsey Hussle on this. It's a marathon. So it's like, we're all taking baby steps to become better versions of ourselves. So we're supposed to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave as believers. Like, we're supposed to constantly expand our mind. So as you expand your mind, you should be able to expand your consciousness. You know, you should be more aware of your behavior, and you don't want to be again, I was one of these people too. You don't want to be one of those people who only learn through life experiences. Like, it shouldn't, only a wise man, only a fool doesn't use the wisdom that a wise man gave them. So it's like, instead of just creating all this bad energy in the universe, be more conscious. Before you say something, think before you speak, truly. Like, and I had to learn this myself because I have a motor mouth. I like to talk. Clearly, you see what I'm doing, but some things don't need to be said. You know what I'm saying? Some things are better off just left in your mouth if it's going to cause more chaos to a person. If you're driving and you're in traffic and somebody wants to go around you, or let them have it. We live in a world where now people will literally try to take your life over a road rage incident. So if that is not a wake-up call for people to be moving more consciously, like, there are people who are mentally unhinged, and you don't want to be the one to provoke them to do something to just go over the edge. And it's not your responsibility to walk on eggshells for other individuals, but when you're conscious and aware, you have a greater obligation to use that knowledge to maneuver the world correctly. So it's like, when you're not operating from an unconscious place, you do got a greater responsibility to move accordingly. So once I become conscious and aware of how my behavior was impacting people around me, like, so having explosive anger, having just certain things you do, they cause detriment to human connections. And then people are gonna, again, sometimes with your actions, you repel the conscious people away from you, because people who are conscious are seeing your unconscious behavior. So in order to attract better, we have to do better. We have to be better. We have to vibrate on a better frequency. So ain't nobody perfect. Ain't nobody better than nobody. We're all living for the first time, but we do have a greater obligation to for one, know that we have to treat people with kindness and respect. We have to be careful of the energy we put into the universe, because for every cause there is effect. For every action there is a reaction. So before you take that action, before you open your mouth, before you go do something vindictive, before you act hastily, take a second. If you're unsure, go to God. God is always the plug. Go to him and ask him, like, I'm really not sure as to what to do. But anytime I think about God and I want to act hastily or like impatiently, God always tells me, like, just give them grace and mercy, or don't call them out. Or if you consult with God before you make decisions that you're unsure about, you'll be more careful with the things that you do. Because as humans, it's not a matter of, if we sin, it's a matter of when we sin, because ain't nobody perfect. So before we act so hastily and we have to go back and correct behavior because we already put the energy out there, we don't even got to put it out there as fast. And that's why I think periods of isolation are good for character development, because you're able to sit with yourself and actually, like, you're able to kind of do the shadow work on yourself to see the points where you're weak at and where you're not operating in consciousness. You're operating from a place of survival, maybe something that was pre-programmed in your brain. Like, because again, the way I grew up, it was funny to joke in a way where you're picking on people, but the older you get, you realize that's not funny. That's kind of toxic. And I only adapted to survive the environment that I was in. So now that when you get more conscious, you put down those unconscious beliefs and you program your brain with new beliefs that you choose for yourself in adulthood. So when you spend time with yourself, you're able to do that. And then you have to go in connection and try to apply these things, because in connection, other things come up. So you can't isolate yourself forever. And as believers, community is necessary. Community is important, and everybody in the community is going to struggle with different things. So versus picking what somebody else is struggling with apart, focus on you. Always go inward. Like, I'm big on taking accountability for the role I played in my own suffering. So even if somebody else, they're equally as wrong, because that used to bother me. Like, I said, I took accountability for my part. This person never took accountability for their part. Like, it's irritating me. It doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. That's for them that's their journey. You feel me? You take accountability for your part, take whatever effect comes with what you caused, and move forward with your life. But if you don't close the cycle at some point and you keep going tit for tat, it's like, what kind of energy are you putting into the universe? And it's like you're gonna cause yourself to be stagnant because you can't progress. You're so worried about what somebody else doing, you can't progress. Like, in order to progress, focus on, it's you versus you. Okay, so just try to, instead of pointing the finger at everybody else, just try to be careful of the cause and effect that you're causing for your own life, and try to operate from a place of more consciousness and more awareness, so you don't have as much mess to clean up. Coming from a person who used to create hella mess, and I would be so tired when it was time to clean it up, but you create it by acting hastily. Like, be patient, move strategically, and be aware of the cause and effect that you put into the universe. You know, action, consequence, action, reaction. Subscribe to my channel. This is a self-development channel. Again, it's a safe space for like-minded individuals. So subscribe. And if you guys have any specific topics that you want to be discussed, comment them below, and I got you guys. So continue to be a radiant soul. Continue to have a beautiful day. And it's not on you, it's in you. Okay, so we all fail and we all make mistakes. There's no point in beating yourself up. Let's try to all move more consciously and live more consciously.